Now at 5, community members and staff at a Southeast Kansas school step up to fill roles to keep the school open. Plus, a BNSF train derails near Granby, Missouri.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met today face-to-face with his Russian counterpart amid the backdrop of a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine. I'm Christina Ruffini in Geneva with the details.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Omicron cases continue to surge, forcing school districts to close, but some are still open. This is KOAM News at 5. One of those school districts is open thanks to the generosity and help from their staff in the community. Northeast USD 246 in Arma says many of their staff have stepped into roles they don't usually fill. The superintendent, for example, is serving lunch at the elementary school as the cafeteria staff is down from 6 to 2. Northeast Elementary's principal says no one on staff has complained about helping. In fact, they're always asking where they can help next.
It's been kind of neat seeing teachers that may teach 5th grade or junior high stepping into a kindergarten position for an hour or two. Kindergarten teachers experiencing junior high, experiencing custodial duties. It's been really nice to see them all step up.
Tonight at 6, we're going to hear more on how staff and community members are making sure kids stay in school. People near Granby, Missouri yesterday morning reported a train derailment along Old Highway E in the Shoal Creek bottoms. At least 5 cars derailed on a BNSF train. MoDOT officials say there were no injuries and the train was not carrying any hazardous materials. A Neosho boy got a big surprise earlier today. Oliver Ruth has dealt with a lot as a 5-year-old. Back in 2019, he suffered a major stroke affecting his entire body after a case of influenza. He's still in therapy, but tonight at 6, we're going to hear how Make-A-Wish is trying to make things easier by introducing him to a special guest and surprising him with an incredible gift. Doug Heddy joining us now. It's good to get some sunshine today, Doug.
It is. It's actually turned out to be a pretty good day. It's still been cold, but at least we're starting to warm things up, which that means we're heading in the right direction. Pretty much clear skies for us right now. We do have some clouds out to our west, so partly cloudy skies for us tonight and then into the daytime hours tomorrow. Temperatures are cold, but they're not bad. We're sitting upper 20s to near 30 degrees. We are going to cool back down once again as we go through the overnight hours tonight. At least the winds aren't too bad. We have a southeasterly wind at about 5 to 10. This is actually going to help us warm up a bit as we go through the next couple days, which is always nice to see. We still have a wind chill factor mainly into the mid 20s to near 30 degrees. Our actual temperature will slide back through the 20s. I think 18 to 20 degrees for an overnight low for us tonight. Of course, we're going to look at the weekend here in just a bit.
All right, Doug, thanks so much. Top diplomats from both the United States and Russia held high-level talks today aimed at diffusing the situation with Ukraine, which has raised concern of a possible Russian invasion. Christina Ruffini reports from Geneva.
Both sides called the meeting between Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov useful and frank, but there were no major breakthroughs.
This was not negotiation, but a candid exchange of concerns and ideas.
Despite roughly 100,000 troops gathered on Ukraine's border, Russia says it's not planning an invasion. The buildup could be an effort by Russia to gain leverage. Moscow wants assurances Ukraine will never be allowed to join NATO, a demand the U.S. and NATO call a non-starter.
After the meeting here in Geneva, Secretary of State Blinken said that the U.S. will respond in writing to Russia's request, something Moscow has been asking for, as well as share some concerns of its own about Russia's actions.
There are several steps that we can take, all of us, Russia included, to increase transparency, to reduce risks, to advance arms control, to build trust.
President Biden has warned there will be severe economic consequences if Russian President Vladimir Putin ventures into Ukraine.
Let there be no doubt at all that if Putin makes this choice, Russia will pay a heavy price.
Blinken and Lavrov agreed to keep talking, while Ukrainian forces prepare to defend their country if necessary. Christina Ruffini, CBS News, Geneva.
Secretary Blinken also warned Russia that non-military actions against Ukraine, like cyber attacks, will also trigger a response from the U.S. and its allies. Non-U.S. travelers entering the country will need to be fully vaccinated starting this Saturday. The Department of Homeland Security says essential travelers crossing into the U.S. via land ports of entry and ferry terminals must show proof of vaccination. The Biden administration opened its borders with Canada and Mexico to non-essential travelers who are fully vaccinated in early November. American citizens and permanent residents do not need to show proof of vaccination if entering via land or ferry. Coming up in Health Watch, reducing your risk of diabetes.
1 in 3 U.S. adults are in danger of developing diabetes. I'm Elise Preston with a message from doctors on how you can protect yourself from the potentially deadly disease.
And later, President Biden announcing plans to address the supply chain crisis.
This is home.
Topping today's Health Watch, there's new information about how to treat kids with peanut allergies. A large study conducted by The Lancet found immunotherapy using small doses of peanut protein powder led to 71% of kids becoming desensitized to peanut allergens. The study also found the younger immunotherapy was started, the more effective it was. A new report shows a quarter of all Americans don't get enough physical activity. CDC mapped the activity of people in all 50 states and Puerto Rico and found that those living in the South tended to be the least active. The highest rate of activity was among Colorado residents. Regular exercise lowers the risk for cancer, heart disease, and countless other illnesses. Type 2 diabetes is one of the chronic health conditions that raises the risk of COVID-19. And with more than a third of adults here in the U.S. in danger of developing diabetes, doctors are working to get the word out on how Americans can protect themselves. Reporter Elise Preston has the story.
Lorna Gooden has a family history of diabetes and knew that she too was at risk.
I was in denial for many years.
When she went from pre-diabetic to diabetic, she enrolled in an education program to take control of her health.
I learned what was triggering my blood sugars to be high. I learned how to do my finger sticks.
The most recent statistics from the Centers for Disease Control show 88 million Americans with prediabetes, which means higher than normal blood sugar levels.
Prediabetes is a serious health condition that actually puts people at risk for other serious health conditions like heart attack, stroke, and of course, type 2 diabetes.
One of the biggest challenges in treating prediabetes is that it usually has no symptoms. Most people don't even know they have it.
That's why the CDC and the American Medical Association joined forces with a series of public service announcements to raise awareness.
With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed.
Dr. Colette Knight of the Hackensack University Medical Center says lifestyle changes make all the difference, including regular exercise and the right diet.
They would want to have a diet that's rich in whole grains, vegetables, fruits, very little or no processed foods.
Gooden followed that advice, lost weight, and turned her diabetes around.
Anyone that says they have diabetes or they're pre-diabetic, or even if it runs in their family, I say, go get checked.
She says education changed her life, and she wishes the same for others. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
To take a 1-minute pre-diabetes assessment, you can visit doihaveprediabetes.org. The American Diabetes Association recommends that diabetes screening for most adults begins at age 45. Patients with inflammatory bowel disease are at greater risk of having serious COVID complications. Researchers at Mount Sinai in New York found that IBD patients, especially those who hadn't been fully vaccinated, had a greater rate of hospitalization than the average person infected with COVID. Waiting more than 5 hours in the emergency room is linked to a higher risk of death. A new study published in the Emergency Medicine Journal found patients who experienced a long delay in being admitted to the hospital faced an increased risk of death from any cause during the next month. Researchers say the death rate was 8% higher for those who waited 6 to 8 hours in the ER and 10% higher for those who waited 8 to 12 hours. That is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the FAA clearing more commercial aircraft to land near 5G signals.
Plus another cold night for us tonight, but we are going to start to warm things back up. We're going to look at that coming up.
Grab your passport because this week
Not bad for us today. Still kind of chilly across the region, but our temperatures are warmer today than what we did see yesterday, which is always the right direction to go, and we're going to continue to warm up as we head into the weekend. Nice shot. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo right on the west side of Seneca, just outside of town. Looks pretty good. It's Friday night, heading into the weekend. No big weather storms, systems coming in, at least over the next couple days, which is pretty good news. But it's still kind of cold. We should be topping out into the mid-40s. We're upper 20s to near 30 degrees. 27 in Nevada, 31 Anderson, 32 in Miami. Pittsburgh is checking in at about 29 degrees. So it's going to be a cold evening, cold night, but not as bad as what we have seen over the past couple nights, which is pretty good news. Look at our winds. They're cranking out of the southeast now, so this is going to help us start to warm things back up as we go through the next couple days. Still a little bit of a wind chill. Still feels like mid-20s to near 30 degrees, but at least our temperatures are going in the right direction. Cold evening, we slide back through the 20s instead of single digits like we've had over the past couple nights. I think about 18 to 20 if you're getting up early tomorrow, and then we should bounce into the 40s for highs during the daytime hours tomorrow. Pretty much clear skies. Not too much is going on here. We do have some clouds out to our west, so let's call it partly cloudy skies for us tonight. But besides that, this weak little wave rotating across the northern parts of the plains. This is not going to affect us. Our weekend looks pretty good. If we look out toward the west, here's our next little wave. We need to keep our eyes on it. It's going to shoot across the southern plains, mainly stay south of us, but will give us some clouds, maybe a random shower by the time we head into Monday. Besides that, we look pretty good. Let's go through the overnight hours tonight. Temperatures upper teens to near 20. As we work through the daytime hours tomorrow, we warm up a little bit more than what we have seen over the past 3 days. Here's your day planner. We start at 19, so a cold start, but 40 by noon, 45 during the afternoon. That's where we should be for the month of January. So tomorrow looks pretty good. Let's move into tomorrow night. Still mostly clear skies, upper 20s to near 30. And then as we go into Sunday, not bad again. I think most of us will press 50 during the afternoon. If you're traveling up Interstate 49, heading to Arrowhead, 5:30 kickoff, 40 to about 42 degrees, so it's going to be chilly, but still pretty good for football weather as we head into Sunday. Of course, playoffs, Chiefs versus the Bills. Monday, we go into the 50s. Here's our storm system. It mainly tracks south of us. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a few random showers in here late Monday into Tuesday, but besides that, we stay pretty quiet. We cool down a bit Tuesday into Wednesday, and then we start to warm things back up a bit by Thursday into Friday with our next storm system rotating through, but no big systems over the next week. So overall, the weather pattern kind of boring right now, which boring means everybody's happy. It's boring for me, happy for everybody else. 45 tomorrow, 51 on Sunday, 57 on Monday. We do cool down Tuesday into Wednesday, but overall not bad for the end of January.
And on a cold day like today, that sun makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Feels so nice.
Yeah.
Doug Heddy, thank you. Coming up, the Biden administration's plans to address the supply chain crisis. But first, we honor a local veteran. Eric Keller served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 1987 to 91. His hometown, Joplin. We are proud to thank and salute Corporal Eric Keller, a four-state hero. To learn more about all of our heroes, or if you'd like to nominate your own, just log on to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Topping today's Consumer Watch is a green light for most flights amid the rollout of 5G networks. Federal Aviation Administration cleared 78% of U.S. commercial aircraft to land at airports with 5G. There was concern technology would interfere with flight controls, especially in low visibility situations. FAA says it expects that some jets will not be allowed to land at airports that are near 5G networks. Uncle Sam is getting ready to start using facial recognition technology for online tax filers. Starting this summer, users with an IRS.gov account will no longer be able to log in with just a username and password. Instead, going to need a government-issued ID, selfie, among other verification to confirm their identity. President Biden is working to fix nationwide supply chain issues, beginning with addressing much-needed supplies of tiny microchips used to power everything from cars to dishwashers. And he's getting some big help from tech giant Intel. Skylar Henry reports from the White House.
President Biden was joined by Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo and the CEO of Intel at the White House as he hailed the company's plan to invest $20 billion to build a semiconductor production facility in Ohio.
Folks at home might be wondering why such a big deal for manufacturing something so small, the size of a postage stamp. Well, semiconductors are small computer chips that power virtually everything in our lives.
The historic announcement comes amid a shortage of the microchips worldwide, slowing down production of cars, smartphones, and other household items.
Because supply is low, we find ourselves in a position that we're really behind the curve. Prices are going up.
The Biden administration is now urging Congress to pass legislation to strengthen research and development that will help alleviate bottlenecks as a result of the pandemic.
Congress needs to pass that bill.
President Biden's push to fix and improve the nation's supply chain issues comes on the heels of him marking his first full year in office. He says the bipartisan infrastructure law and his Build Back Better plan will help produce a more productive economy. After months of setbacks, the president says he's now looking at ways to break up his signature $2 trillion plan into smaller chunks that might have a better chance of passage.
We're going to get as much, a big mountain-sized chunk, whatever you want to call it, as much as we can of the Build Back Better agenda that we can get 50 votes for.
The White House has not given a new targeted price tag for the spending bill or indicated what exactly it would include. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
President Biden also says the U.S. is looking into finding where raw materials to produce semiconductor chips might be found nationwide if we have access to them. You're soon going to be paying more for washing your clothes. The maker of Tide and Gain laundry detergents, Procter & Gamble, has announced a price hike. It makes Downy fabric softener and Bounce dryer sheets as well. The company said Wednesday it was raising prices for retail consumers by about 8% next month. Procter & Gamble said the move is intended to offset some cost pressures. Final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, Steve Hartman shares the story of teens in New York volunteering as EMTs. Then on KOAM News at 6, going to have more on how community members in Arma, Kansas are stepping up to help their school district. Plus, Make-A-Wish surprises a Neosho boy with a special appearance by his favorite Star Wars character. And Missouri Southern hosting an elder care boot camp workshop. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then at KOAM News at 6. Teenager in Europe has become the youngest woman to fly around the world alone. She finally made it back home yesterday after a 5-month journey. Tina Cross reports from London.
It was a picture-perfect touchdown in Belgium as Zara Rutherford landed her Shark ultralight plane with family and friends cheering her on.
I wasn't expecting so many people. It's really nice seeing so many friendly faces.
The 19-year-old Belgian-British teen earned a spot in the record books as the youngest woman to fly around the globe all by herself.
It's just really crazy. I haven't quite processed it, I think.
Rutherford's epic journey started last August. She spent 260 hours in the air. It was supposed to take 3 months, but ended up stretching to 5 because of dangerous conditions, including desert haze in Saudi Arabia, wildfires over California, and bad weather in other spots.
Coming out of Frankfurt, there was a lot of rain, a lot of snow, so I had to wiggle in some valleys, and I had to wait a while as well to wait for the snow to clear.
The adventure covered about 30,000 miles and included stops on 5 continents.
Yeah, it worked out, clearly, because here I am.
Rutherford's parents, who are both pilots, began taking her in small planes when she was just a toddler, and by 14, she started flying herself.
We told her and her brother since they were born that they can do anything, that they're extraordinary and there are no limits.
She hopes her accomplishment inspires other young girls trying to succeed in aviation and other male-dominated jobs. She plans to soar to new heights herself and eventually become an astronaut. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
Think of variations of so many things you would experience flying around the world. Some good things, you would see some landmarks.
Yeah.
But as that story touched on too, some bad things, some natural disasters.
It's very true too.
You know, so
kind of crazy.
It is good for her though. Kind of warming up.
Yeah, we're going to warm up over the weekend. It's still going to be a very chilly evening, kind of a cold night. We'll drop back into the upper teens, but back to where we should be for this time of the year tomorrow. 45, 51 on Sunday, 57 on Monday. We are going to get some clouds. We may get a random shower, but overall, pretty calm over the next, 5-7 days.
I'm going to ask you about Sunday, Chiefs game. You're kind of worried, aren't you?
I'm nervous.
You're nervous. He's not worried, just nervous.
I think we're going to win.
Okay.
I'm nervous.
All right. Don't be nervous. We're going to win. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you at 6.